Hi, I'm Yesh. I'm going to be attending UC Berkeley's Haas speaker program in the fall. And the schools that I was deciding between for the most part were Berkeley and the University of Michigan and Cal Poly SLO were kind of like my three main top choices. I ended up choosing Berkeley's speaker program, and this program is the first, was created this year. It's the business four-year undergraduate business program. So previously at Berkeley, you could only apply to the business program after 2 years. Now they have an undergraduate business program that can be applied to, which is the program that I'm going to be attending with the hopes of a career in business, potentially business law, something along those lines. So I got into UMich, Penn State, UC Santa Cruz, Cal Poly Pomona, Cal Poly SLO, and then a couple of wait lists. So one of the big factors was being close to home, and then the second one was just the specific program at Berkeley that I was accepted into. I thought that this specific small cohort could make a very large public school like Berkeley feel like a smaller private school, which was an opportunity that I was really interested in. For me, my main extracurricular activities, or my largest one was speech and debate. So I competed in speech and debate tournaments for 4 years. Since freshman year, I was the president of our school's debate team, helped to form our school's debate team. So that became the largest component of my college application, using speech and debate to tell a story. A lot of my essays were about speech and debate. A lot of my awards were related to speech and debate. One thing I kind of learned from this college app process is really learning to tell a narrative with your extracurricular, not kind of just listing out the activity, but tying it to ways that you changed as a person, kind of creating a narrative around your extracurricular activities and a cohesive story. So another extracurricular activity that I had a large part in was my school's investing club or my school's business club that I was a part of. So I think it was nice to kind of tie debate to these clubs, to kind of not really have them just be random, scattered activities, but to have them all come together and tell a story about what you're interested in. Definitely while working with Tosca, I think originally when we were planning out my essay ideas, I'd kind of just thrown it out there. I didn't think it was something super relevant. She was kind of just walking me through ideas for essays. And I just kind of mentioned it. And I remember Tosca kind of telling me to pause and tell her more about this. And I think when I spoke more about it, when I began to think more about the entire process of creating this curriculum, the effect it had, the time-consuming nature of it, I think that's when I realized, and through discussing with Tosca, that this wasn't just, something I could put on the Common Application, but really something I could use to create an essay or a supplemental essay around. And I just began to saw the effect of it. For me, I think at first I was a little bit more, I'd say passive maybe, about working with a mentor. And I think that I didn't really let myself be vulnerable, and that I didn't really talk about risks that I wanted to take with Tosca. But one thing Tosca did was she kind of enabled me to open up, to think more about, not just how to create some essay that's okay, but how to really get an essay to shine. And one thing that began to develop really quickly was that I was more willing to talk to Tosca about things that I hadn't originally thought of, but just kind of ideas that were in my mind. And she kind of showed me how those ideas could go from just small ideas into real, structured, really good essays. And I think at the end of the process, I began to realize that I think Tosca had a really good understanding of both my writing style, or how I could take my current essays and improve them. So I think just my biggest piece of advice for younger students on that note is to really be willing to open up to your mentor, take risks, and explain to your mentor what you're interested in, because they really can help you turn those into really good essays, ideas. I think the number one thing that I would spend more time on if I could do the process again would probably be letters of recommendation. I think I took them for granted a little bit when I was going through the process. I spent a lot of time on essays and brainstorming, and I was really proud of the final essays that I ended up coming up with. But I think one thing that could really help is with letters of recommendation. just really taking the risk to like tell your teachers explicitly kind of what you believe is something that can be showcased in a letter of recommendation, trying to avoid generic letters of recommendation, and things like that, because I think that's the one thing that can really make an effect on how colleges view you if you have someone else saying really, really positive things about you and not just kind of ticking off the box of letters of recommendation, but making them a standout point of your application. One of the main things to double down on was definitely the brainstorming process that's done. I remember joining a workshopping call with Anu, I believe, at the beginning of the process. And, when I first joined that, I thought it would kind of just be saying ideas. And I didn't really expect it to end up, the ideas I discussed with Anu ended up becoming my college or my essay, my Common App essay. And a lot of my PIQs came from there. So I think one thing is when you go into those brainstorming meetings, don't kind of just think about them as, oh, I need to get done with this, but really, really think about those ideas because they can be super helpful in creating your final essay, and more than just your essay, to getting ideas that'll help you throughout your whole application.